Have you ever asked yourself, what would I do if my spouse passed away before me? Most people haven't. And when that moment comes, it feels like the ground crumbles beneath your feet. The silence in the house becomes deafening. The bed feels bigger, but colder. And in the middle of that grief, confusion floods in, leaving you overwhelmed with decisions you never imagined facing alone. This video is not about paperwork or legal checklists. It's about you, about your emotional survival, your mental strength, and how you can gently hold yourself together when life feels like it's falling apart. Today, we'll walk through 6 deeply important steps, real steps, that can help you steady your heart, regain your footing, and begin the journey of living again after the unimaginable. These aren't theories. These are lessons from those who have been there. Men and women who have stood where you might stand one day. And while nothing can take away the pain, these 6 things can give you something just as powerful: clarity, direction, and hope. If you're watching this now, comment 1 to let me know you're here with me. And please, subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos that offer comfort, strength, and support in your golden years. Let's begin, because the 6th step might just be the one that changes the rest of your life. Let's move to number 1, the need to feel before you fix. The very first thing you must do when your spouse passes is something most people forget. You need to feel before you fix. In the aftermath of loss, our instinct is often to act, to make the phone calls, sort the paperwork, notify family, arrange the service, clean out the closet. We stay busy because if we stop moving, the silence might catch us. And that silence, the kind that settles not just in your home, but in your chest, is too much to bear. After decades of shared life, the absence isn't just emotional, it's physical. The way they used to hum while folding laundry, the gentle tap of a coffee mug on the kitchen counter, the way their hand always found yours without needing to ask. And then one morning, it's just gone. The bed feels enormous. The meals taste flat. The house is quiet, but your mind is loud. And in that chaos, many seniors feel this pressure to be strong. For the kids, for the grandkids, for the neighbors who check in. But true strength doesn't come from bottling up your pain or pretending you're okay. It comes from acknowledging, with honesty and tenderness, that you are not. Let me tell you about Robert, a 77-year-old Navy veteran who lost his wife Jean after 49 years of marriage. For the first few days, he moved like a man on a mission. He contacted insurance companies, sorted through her clothes, even started making plans to remodel the living room, anything to keep his hands full. To the outside world, he looked composed, but what no one saw was how he avoided sitting in the living room after dark, because that was where she used to read beside him every evening. One night, when the sound of the wind reminded him of her gentle breathing, he finally broke. The tears came, uninvited but honest, and for the first time in a week, he felt human again. He later said that night was the beginning, not of moving on, but of allowing himself to exist in this new reality. Grief isn't a problem to solve, it's a wound to tend to, a space to hold. When you push it away, when you deny it room to breathe, it doesn't vanish, it waits. And when it returns, it does so with greater force. Many seniors find themselves developing physical symptoms from unprocessed grief, fatigue, irritability, even chronic illness. The body remembers what the heart tries to forget. So please, if you've just lost the love of your life, don't rush to clean up the pieces. Sit with them first. Let yourself cry. Let yourself talk about them. Light a candle. Listen to their favorite song. Look through photos not to torture yourself, but to remind yourself that your love was real, and the pain is real because of it. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to put on a brave face. You just have to be honest with yourself, and if you can, with someone else, a close friend, a grief support group, a counselor. Healing begins not with action, but with acceptance, with giving yourself the grace to feel what's true. In those early days, your only job is to grieve, not perform, not plan, just grieve. Because when you allow yourself to feel, you begin the most important part of healing. Remembering that your pain is not a sign of weakness. It's a reflection of love, and that love deserves to be honored, not hidden. Number 2, the importance of reaching out right away in the hours and days following the death of your spouse. The second essential step after losing a spouse, one that often feels the hardest to take, is the importance of reaching out and doing it early. In the first hours and days after your partner passes, you're likely to be surrounded by people. The phone rings constantly, flowers arrive, neighbors stop by with casseroles and kind intentions, It feels like you're held in a gentle cushion of care. But then, quietly and almost without warning, it stops. The meals stop coming. The phone slows. The silence becomes heavier. And if you're not prepared for that moment, the loneliness that follows can settle in deeper than grief itself. Many seniors don't notice when isolation begins to take root because it often comes not with a bang, but with a soft, aching silence. At first, it may feel like relief to be alone. After all, it takes energy to speak, to thank, to receive sympathy when your own heart is raw. But the longer the silence stretches, the harder it becomes to break. That's why reaching out before the isolation becomes a pattern is so critical to your healing. You don't have to explain what you're feeling. You don't even have to talk about your spouse or your pain. What matters is that you don't wait too long for others to come to you. Because even the people who care about you deeply may hold back, unsure if you need space or if their presence would be a comfort or a burden. It's something I saw with my old friend Clara, a 79-year-old widow from Arizona. Clara lost her husband suddenly to a heart attack. In the first week, her church group was constantly at her side. They brought food, sat with her in the evenings, offered to run errands. But Clara, overwhelmed by grief, began declining visitors. She said she didn't want to cry in front of anyone. She wanted to be strong. So she stayed quiet. The texts came less often. The house got still. And as the days turned into weeks, Clara started to feel invisible. The TV became her company. Her meals grew more sparse. She told me later that she didn't realize how deeply the silence had crept into her bones until one afternoon she caught herself talking to the microwave just to hear a voice. Eventually, she made a small, quiet promise to call just one person a day. Some days it was her cousin in Florida. Other days it was the friendly woman from her gardening club. Sometimes it was just a short call to ask how someone else was doing. But slowly, that one act each day gave her something to anchor to. Her memory improved. She started sleeping better. And the heaviness in her chest began to lift. Not gone, but shared. Connection didn't erase her pain, but it gave her a hand to hold while she carried it. Loneliness after a loss is not just emotional. It has real physical consequences. Studies show it can disrupt sleep, weaken the immune system, and even increase the risk of heart problems and cognitive decline. That's why surrounding yourself, even gently, with human presence is more than emotional support. It's a form of protection. And if you don't have family nearby, or if your friends are gone or far away, know that you still have options. Senior centers, grief support groups, community volunteers, these are lifelines, not just programs. And sometimes, the most healing conversation comes from someone who's walked the same road. Reaching out doesn't mean you failed or that you're needy. It means you're wise enough to know we're not meant to grieve alone. Connection, in whatever form you can manage, is the antidote to the dangerous quiet. A cup of coffee with a neighbor. A walk with a church friend. A phone call to someone who knew your spouse and remembers them too. Each one builds a little scaffolding around your heart, holding you up while you find your new balance. So, if you're here with me now and you feel this message in your soul, let it be your sign. Pick up the phone today. Write a letter. Answer the text. Let someone in. You're not alone. Not now, not ever. And if this video is speaking to you, please leave a comment below with the number 2 to let me know you're here. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you'll always have a place to return when the world feels quiet. We're in this together, and we'll keep walking forward, one small step at a time. Number 3, the urgency of organizing critical documents when someone passes, especially a spouse. When a spouse passes away, the emotional impact is so immense that it can feel like time itself should pause out of respect. But painfully, it doesn't. The world continues to turn. Bills arrive in the mail, banks expect signatures, government agencies start sending notices, and in the midst of your grief, when getting dressed feels hard, you're expected to navigate a complex maze of paperwork. That's why one of the most urgent and often overlooked steps in the early days of loss is to begin organizing your spouse's critical documents. It's not cold. It's not about moving on. It's about protecting yourself, honoring the life you built together, and ensuring that important details don't get lost in the fog of sorrow. Many people believe they'll deal with the paperwork once they feel better. But the truth is, there are time-sensitive issues that don't wait. Life insurance claims, social security notifications, joint bank account access, mortgage payments, and utility transfers often come with quiet but firm deadlines. Missing them can result in financial complications that add more stress to an already overwhelming time. Even if you're someone who has always managed the household finances, it still hits differently when the person you loved is no longer sitting across the table. The grief clouds your thinking, your energy is low, and the smallest task can feel like climbing a mountain. Take, for example, Dorothy, an 82-year-old woman in Oregon who had been married for over 50 years. Her husband George had always handled the administrative side of things: taxes, insurance, passwords, even the location of their important documents. When he died from a sudden stroke, Dorothy was not just heartbroken, she was unprepared. She didn't know where the deed to the house was kept or how to log into the online banking account. Weeks passed as she searched drawers, called customer service lines, and tried to guess passwords. All of this while battling waves of sadness and exhaustion. Eventually, her son flew in to help her, and together they created a binder to keep everything in one place. It wasn't easy, but once the information was gathered, she said it was like a weight lifted from her chest. Not because it made the grief go away, but because it gave her back a sense of control. If the thought of facing all this alone feels overwhelming, know that you don't have to. Ask someone you trust, a family member, a close friend, or even a financial advisor, to sit with you. Let them help you create a checklist. You can go slowly. It doesn't have to be done in a day. But starting the process, even just gathering everything into a single folder or box, is a powerful step. Include items like your spouse's will, insurance policies, account numbers, social security documents, military service records, and anything else that might be needed for claims or transitions. Write down contact names and logins if you know them. And just as importantly, make sure someone else knows where to find these things in case they ever need to help you in the future. This process might feel sterile, maybe even a little cold, but it's not. It's an act of love. It's a way of preserving the life you shared and protecting the one you still have. It's not about letting go, it's about keeping things safe. When you organize the chaos, even while your heart is breaking, you give yourself a small sense of peace in a time of disorder. And sometimes, that small sense of peace is what carries you to the next day. If you found these insights valuable, let me know by commenting yes below. Your thoughts matter, and I'd love to hear from you. Number 4. The discipline of protecting your health. Grief doesn't just touch the heart, it seeps into every corner of the body. After the death of a spouse, many seniors are caught off guard by how physical that sorrow can feel. You may notice it in skipped meals, broken sleep, low energy, and a complete loss of motivation. Things that once felt routine, eating breakfast, taking medication, going for a walk, suddenly feel pointless. But this is exactly when your health needs your attention the most, not in grand, dramatic gestures, but in small, consistent acts of care. Because when grief takes hold, the body follows. And if we're not careful, we can slip into a kind of silent unraveling. The shock of losing someone so central to your daily life causes stress on a level the body is not designed to carry for long periods. Widowed seniors frequently experience fatigue, weight loss, headaches, digestive issues, chest tightness, and even memory lapses. Not necessarily because of illness, but because grief disrupts the nervous system. It throws off your appetite, your sleep hormones, your blood pressure. The immune system weakens. Pre-existing health conditions like diabetes or heart problems may worsen. And all of this can happen without you even realizing it, because your attention is so focused on the emotional pain. I think often of Alan, a 76-year-old retired school principal who lost his wife to cancer after a long battle. In the weeks that followed her passing, he told himself he was fine. He kept busy organizing her things, responding to sympathy cards, and checking off his to-do list. But what he didn't notice was that he had stopped eating regular meals. He skipped his morning walks. He couldn't remember the last time he had taken his cholesterol medication. One afternoon, while trying to lift a box from the garage, he lost his balance and fell. It wasn't a major injury, but it was a wake-up call. He realized that while he had been taking care of the logistics of loss, he had completely stopped taking care of himself. And his body was paying the price. When you're grieving, the idea of cooking a meal or walking around the block may feel meaningless. But these basic actions are not about pretending you're okay. They're about giving your body what it needs to survive the storm. You don't need a perfect health routine or a personal trainer. You just need to eat something nourishing a few times a day, even if it's simple. Move your body, even if it's only for 10 minutes in the backyard. Take your medications. Drink water. Try to go to bed at the same time each night, even if you lie awake for a while. These are not luxuries. They are necessities. They are the building blocks that will help your body stabilize as your heart slowly begins to find footing again. If you need help, ask your doctor to check in on you. Let someone you trust help you create a small daily routine or remind you to take your medication. Keep a journal. Mark off the basics: food, water, movement, sleep. These small steps are quiet but powerful. They remind your body that it's still here and still matters. Taking care of yourself in grief doesn't mean you're moving on. It means you're honoring the love you had by protecting the life you still have. You are not betraying their memory by choosing to eat, sleep, and breathe. You are choosing to stay, one quiet act of care at a time. Number 5. The danger of rushed decisions. After losing a spouse, there's often a deep, almost instinctive urge to make immediate changes. For many seniors, the home feels too quiet, too filled with reminders. The belongings left behind seem to echo with memories. It's no wonder that thoughts like, maybe I should sell the house, or I need to be closer to my kids, or even I can't stand seeing their clothes in the closet, come rushing in. This is a natural reaction to grief. It's the mind trying to grasp at control in a time when everything feels uprooted. But in this vulnerable state, the decisions made quickly are often the ones most regretted later. This doesn't mean you'll never need or want to make changes. You might. But the key is not to act too soon. When grief is fresh, it clouds your judgment. You're not just emotionally overwhelmed. You're physically exhausted, mentally scattered, and spiritually shaken. What feels like the right decision in the heat of heartbreak may feel completely different once the fog lifts. Making big changes while you're still emotionally raw can add another layer of loss to what you're already carrying. I remember a woman named Irene, 80 years old, from Virginia. She lost her husband Thomas after 55 years of marriage. Within a month of his passing, she gave away most of his clothes, donated the books from his study, and began packing boxes to move in with her daughter across the country. Everyone told her it would help to be around family, that it would ease the pain. But once she arrived, surrounded by boxes and unfamiliar walls, the sadness became sharper. Her routine was gone. Her neighbors were gone. The tree she and Thomas planted on their 25th anniversary wasn't outside her window anymore. She found herself grieving all over again, this time not just for her husband, but for the life she left behind too quickly. The truth is, grief demands stillness before movement. You don't need to decide everything right away. You can leave his shoes by the door a little longer. You can keep the house, even just for another season. You can pause before closing bank accounts or selling property. Allow your emotions to settle before making irreversible choices. That time, however long it needs to be, isn't wasted. It's necessary. It's a form of self-protection. And if well-meaning friends or family members push you to clear things out or start fresh, remember that this is your timeline, not theirs. Gently explain that you need space, that you're not avoiding the future, you're simply respecting the past. Acting too fast might bring temporary relief, but it can create emotional wounds that linger far longer than anyone expects. This is especially true for financial matters. Changing investments, selling assets, or signing legal papers while grieving can lead to unintended consequences. If you feel uncertain, seek out someone you trust, a financial advisor, a family member with a level head, or a friend who's good with details. Having someone beside you who isn't emotionally consumed by the loss can help you make decisions with more clarity and less pressure. The goal isn't to stand still forever. Eventually, you will make changes. Some may be difficult, some may even be freeing, but when those changes are made from a place of peace rather than panic, they bring healing, not harm. You've already endured a heartbreaking loss. There's no need to add more by rushing into decisions that your heart hasn't had time to catch up to. Give yourself grace. Let time do its work. When you're ready, you'll know. And when that moment comes, you'll move forward with more confidence and more peace, knowing that you honored both your grief and your future. If you found these insights valuable, let me know by commenting yes below. Your thoughts matter, and I'd love to hear from you. Number 6. The quiet work of rebuilding your identity when your spouse dies. When a spouse passes away, what disappears is not just their physical presence. It's a shared identity, a way of being that only existed because the two of you were in it together. Whether you were married for 5 years or 50, You were part of a we, a team, a quiet partnership built on rituals, routines, shared jokes, and unspoken understanding. You weren't just yourself, you were yourself with them, and when they're gone, the space they leave behind echoes louder than silence. It disrupts the rhythm you lived by, and it stirs a question many never expect to face so late in life. Who am I now without them? This stage of grief doesn't always arrive right away. In the beginning, there's too much to do. Funeral arrangements, visitors, paperwork. You run on adrenaline and survival instincts. But slowly, when the calls stop and the days stretch out quietly, a deeper grief begins to settle in. Not just for the person you lost, but for the version of yourself that only existed in their presence. You are no longer the spouse in the same way. No longer the caregiver, the co-planner of meals and holidays, the other half of shared glances and routines that once anchored your day. The world you knew has been reshaped, and so too has your role within it. This process, the quiet work of rebuilding your identity, is one of the most important and most overlooked parts of grieving. And it's not about starting over. It's not about letting go or moving on. It's about evolving, rediscovering, asking yourself gently, without pressure, what this next chapter might look like. Because even though the structure of your life has changed, you are still here. You still matter. And your story isn't finished. I think of Carl, a soft-spoken man from Ohio who lost his wife, Elaine, after 47 years of marriage. In their life together, he was the provider, the fixer of things, the man who brewed her morning tea and handled the yard work she loved to admire. After her passing, he kept everything in place, the calendar still on the month she died, her scarf draped over the chair, the tea bags unopened. He said he didn't know how to be just Carl. He had always been Carl and Elaine. But something shifted one morning when he picked up an old camera from their closet. Photography had once been a quiet passion of his in younger years, something he'd given up to focus on family and work. Now, in his solitude, he started taking photos again, not for distraction, but for connection. Slowly, he found himself seeing the world again, light through leaves, smiles, and strangers. It wasn't a return to who he was before Elaine. It was a return to himself, with Elaine still in his heart, but no longer defined only by his loss. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to explore. You are allowed to ask, what brings me peace now? What small joys can I still experience? Maybe it's gardening. Maybe it's joining a book club or learning how to cook something new. Maybe it's reaching out to others who are also navigating this strange, lonely terrain. These actions are not about replacing love. They are about choosing life, about responding to the reality that although everything has changed, you still deserve a future that holds meaning. Rebuilding your identity after loss doesn't happen all at once. It's a slow, tender unfolding, a rediscovery of who you are when no one's watching. Each step, no matter how small, is part of reclaiming your voice in a world that may feel foreign without your partner. You are not just who you were with them. You are also who you are becoming after them. And this new version of you deserves care, kindness, and above all, time. Losing a spouse is not just the loss of a person. It's the loss of a shared life. The quiet companionship, the knowing glance across a room, the daily rhythm you didn't even realize had become sacred. And when that is taken away, the world feels unfamiliar, your home feels hollow, and you may wonder how you'll ever feel whole again. But as lonely and heavy as this road may be, you are not walking it alone. The 6 steps we've shared in this video are not instructions, they're gentle lifelines. They're small, powerful ways to help you breathe again, to stand again, and one day, to smile without guilt. Feeling before fixing. Reaching out before the silence settles. Gathering documents before confusion sets in. Caring for your body when your heart feels too tired. Avoiding big decisions while the fog is thick. And slowly, bravely, rebuilding your identity, not as someone who's moving on, but as someone still here, still living, still becoming. If you take only one thing with you today, let it be this. Grief may change your life, but it doesn't have to end it. You still have chapters left to write, chapters filled with purpose, memory, and even moments of unexpected peace. And every step you take, no matter how small, is a step toward healing. If this video brought you comfort or clarity, please let us know by leaving a comment below. Tell us, which of the 6 steps meant the most to you? How do you plan to carry it into your own life? Your voice matters, and your story, even in grief, can help someone else feel less alone. And if you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Your support helps us continue making meaningful content for seniors who are navigating some of life's most difficult seasons. You are strong, even in your sorrow. You are worthy, even in your stillness. And you are deeply loved. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in the next video.